Hello everyone, I'm Fabiana Pragier, a pastry chef specialized in gluten and dairy-free baking, and I teach you how to profit with the high demand for gluten and dairy-free products. If you like content like this, just like here, subscribe to this channel so you make sure you don't miss any of my great tips. Today we are going to talk about how to make delicious gluten and dairy-free products. This is very important and not really very easy. Well, first, judging whether a gluten-free, dairy-free product is good or not is not a matter of taste. You can think, okay, if I like something like a wine, if I like something, it means that's a good product, and it's not, because we have to consider two very important points. The first is most of the recipes, almost all the recipes, are reinterpretation from classic ones. Let's say, taking as example our dishes, like the tarte au citron, or a strawberry tart, or a brownie. And people have an expectation about these products, or the texture, about how this looks like, or how this tastes, the affective memory, like when grandma used to bake this cake. And this is a guide for us. It's not the result is not the easiest to reach, but it's a guide for us when we try something, and this is very good. This tastes very close or just like the classic ones, then we know we are on the right way. We also intend to sell our products not only for the ones with dietary restrictions, but for everyone, which means as close you can get for the classic taste and texture, so more customers outside the intolerance and allergics you're going to have, which is very important. When I was creating our recipes, I wanted even the presentation to be the best one and the closest one to the when creating our recipes. I wanted the dishes to look like the classic ones when I was doing some interpretation, because it's what people expect. Is nice to see the same consistency and everything, because when people become intolerant or allergic, or when people take the decision to avoid the gluten or dairy for health reasons, to have a healthier lifestyle, they suffer a bit, because they think, okay, I have to give up eating the things that I like, and don't have to be like that. And that's what I was aiming when creating the products. I have a story to tell, which you guys will never forget. I won't say the exact name, but I'm even gonna show you a picture. When you try to be authentic with your recipes, when you try to make something really remarkable, that appearance and taste are a reinterpretation from the classic one, you have to be, how can I say, very careful, because I went to Paris when I was doing my research about business. I went to Paris to look, because Paris is the home of patisserie, and I thought that I'm gonna find the best products there, and I'm gonna get inspired. And I came across a bakery. It's actually not really a bakery, but a coffee shop. But they have more than one. And I thought, oh, amazing, because I haven't seen something like that in London. They have 2 or 3 shops, and now I don't remember. And I decided to try a pain au chocolat. Honestly, guys, this was the worst pain au chocolat I ever had in my life. You can see here the appearance, how the texture, because this is a pâte feuilletée, is a puff pastry. Had nothing to do with the classic ones, just the name. And believe me, this tastes exactly like this looks like. And I think till today, because this is going to be developed, until today, we just don't have products. We don't have this offer. People are looking for products. They are. We have 2% of the world population diagnosed as a gluten intolerant, for example, or dairy intolerant. I think this 2% we are talking about gluten intolerance and allergics alone, only gluten. And the companies are used to make products like a sentence for the customers, like that's what we have, that's what we offer, you need to eat. It's not like a choice, so that's what you have, and you have two choices actually, whether you eat this or nothing. And I think this coffee shop I went in Paris, they are still living in this world. And when I started this business, this is I make with all my heart, and because I believe we can bring something, we can add something to people's life. I believe we can really offer products that are exactly like the classic ones, that people can have an amazing experience eating them. They don't have to feel like punished for being intolerant or for being allergic. This is really sad. And I will prove you that we can have these amazing products, and you can bake these products as well. Another thing, and because the products are so far, we only had products like that, industrialized products are dry, they even look crumbly and dry. So from outside, you already said when you are going to eat something like that, and then you can ask me, chef, but people have prejudice. When you say gluten dairy free, people already say no, it's not tasty, and that's true. I can't deny that's true. And that's the reason. And then what is our task? Of course, we will find nice brownies and some sponge cakes. We have few good things, but it's not enough, because there are lots of clients that want to buy, right? How can we deal with this prejudice? When you come to talk about your products, the products you're going to be able to bake soon, you have to take samples. When people try your products, you have to ask them for a review, like the customers you have to test, you have to use to test your products, are especially the ones who are not allergic or intolerant, because they are not used to eat this kind of product. They will just try, and imagine if you reach the level that this kind of customer just say, I tried something which was gluten-free, was dairy-free, and you just don't notice. So with the spread of words like that, you don't need anything else. And one more time, believe me, it's possible. And when you get to this point, you will make money, because you are selling what people are looking for to buy. And this is alone very, very. It's a huge business opportunity. Well, if your product's not delicious, it's not the best one, you still didn't reach this level, you're going to sell anyway. You're going to sell anyway because people are looking for these products. You have a gap in the markets in terms of products, in terms of flavors. Make some research. Take a look what is in the market, and don't try to compare yourself 100% with industrialized products. Industrialized products are something different. They do in high scales and with preservatives, and they tend to be cheaper, but they are not as fresh, as tasty as the things you could offer. How can we get to the level that we are very good baking gluten and dairy free? First, to be very good in something, we have to be bad. So we started, so we are still not there. And to be bad, you have to start. And the moment to start is right now, because it's when you have this amount of customers that want to buy the products. Well, another, I can give you a very, very good example about how gluten and dairy-free products can be amazing. Well, I used to work in a hotel. I don't know if you guys know about the existence from one old rich hotel. It's a very beautiful, amazing, beautiful, independent 5-star hotel here in London. It's the place where I worked before I opened my own business. One Old Bridge is a 5-star hotel, 100% gluten and dairy free. They have a restaurant for the hotel, of course, called Indigo Kitchen, and they serve from breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything gluten and dairy free. So, of course, you don't have to be intolerant or allergic to book a room at One Old Bridge. Is amazing, beautiful, so everyone can book a room there. But how is this possible? I even read an article from the executive chef Dominic. Is a British chef, and was his project to come to the hotels. This was almost 10 years ago, 7, 8. Now I'm not 100% sure. And this project like that wouldn't be possible if would be impossible to create dishes that taste exactly like the classic ones, because there you can have not only your desserts, your cakes, but even your fish and chips. It's a fine dining restaurant, so and everything is gluten and dairy free. You even can have your very nice, with many options, afternoon tea there. And in this article, the chef Dominique was telling people that when they turn the restaurant into gluten and dairy free, the customers just didn't notice. And his principle, his idea, the concept behind turning the kitchen into gluten and dairy free is to create the same experience for all the guests. Because normally when you go to a restaurant with someone with dietary restrictions, you're going to have the person without the restrictions are going to have a lot of options in the menu, and the one which can't eat gluten and so have 1 or 2 or none. And if you can make a product that tastes like the classic ones, everybody can eat together, and this is amazing, and is a place where you can take your friends, the allergics or intolerant, or you just allergic or intolerant. You don't have to take people to strange places. Everybody can eat together, and they just attracted me because I was interested in this concept, but also because I wanted to see in reality how it works to sell to people, very good products. When I left the hotel with the idea to open my own business, the only thing I had in my mind was if I can offer something that people could eat together, I would be successful. And this is exactly what I do. When I started, my first customers were like so first, before I went to the one outreach and I was baking from home, I was selling for friends, I was selling for my neighbors, and to everyone. But when I started the business outside my own kitchen, my first customers were like offices, because imagine today you take a cake to the office because it's your chef's birthday or is your friend's birthday, your colleague, it's your birthday, and you want to invite everyone in your office. No, this is impossible. Of course, we have other intolerance and allergies like nuts, which is very common. But if you have a cake that is already dairy-free and gluten-free, you can be sure you're reaching 80-90% of your colleagues, while just a normal cake will be eaten by 30% of the people from your office. And so I started. So it's very important. When I left the hotel, my idea was just reach this level that people could eat my desserts, and I did a lot of tests. I was in total 7 months doing all the tests and trying different flours, different combinations, because of course I went to the pastry school, but I learned how to do the classic ones. At least I had knowledge about the classic ones when I was creating my signature recipes. When you try to do your trials in gluten and dairy-free baking, if you're already doing this, don't be sad if you are testing. This is very difficult to get a very nice outcome. That especially to look or to taste like the classic ones. When we are talking about confectionery, about pastries, about cakes and desserts, you are not the only one. Remember, I was doing my tests as well. I was looking at what we can find on the internet. And believe me, there are loads of recipes on the internet that are not right. The recipe is wrong, sometimes the method is wrong, sometimes they just ask you to use a plain flour, and just with the plain flour doesn't work for all the recipes. What can I say about these trials that are not working? First of all, every time, this was my thought that time, and this is what I listen all the time. Every time that something is not working, people already think it's the flour, because it's a gluten-free flour and it's not wheat flour, and my recipe is not working, and that's the reason. But it's not always the flour. The reason your recipes are not working can be so many things. Maybe you are using the right flour, but you are not using the right combination. Maybe you are using the wrong chocolate, or you are not using it right in the right amount. The oven is many times the reason why a recipe just don't work. Can be many reasons. You have to have a basic knowledge and start to list all the reasons that can make the recipe not work, and make your trials. So one advice I could give for you that's trying to reach this goal to have a few amazing, excellent products, and don't start with a very difficult stuff like choux pastry, for example, to do things like eclairs or profiteroles or puff pastry. I can assure you can make amazing products, amazing puff pastry, amazing bread and everything gluten-free. but are not the most easy recipes to start. And then just to start with the sponge cakes, with the cookies, and so with different flavors and ganaches and creams. There are lots of delicious recipes you can create, so without touching the choux and the puff pastry would be my advice. No? And there are lots of legends of gluten and dairy free. And as more you increase your knowledge, less you're going to believe in this kind of stuff. For example, there are many different products and pita bread and I don't know what that only works with that certain Italian flour, which is a very good flour, but it's not true. If you take all the gluten-free flour mixes, the ones you buy ready in the supermarket, and you check the ingredients, you have from everything from xanthan gum, rice flour, different starches. You have psyllium. You even have milk, different starches combined. You're gonna have many things. In this case, from this certain Italian flour, gluten-free flour mix, they add psyllium to it. What is psyllium? Psyllium is a plant, and then the outer shell from this plant is a plant you find in Asia. I wouldn't say it's the same like xanthan gum, but it's a stabilizer. It's more or less, we use it more or less for the same reason, but psyllium absorbs 20 times its volume in water. It's very, when you take a little bit of psyllium and you add water to it, this becomes a gel very fast. And of course, if your flour has this feature, it's going to work very nice for bread, for pizza. Is just amazing. And that's what this flour has, that makes everything taste nice, has a nice structure, texture. But once you learn how to work with all the ingredients, you'll be able to create your own mix, to play with different ingredients, to make your own gluten-free mix, and to be free, and even make everything with less cost. I went to an exhibition where some flour factories were, and they are investing in new products, in new combinations, in new flours, and soon you're gonna have other options in the market. So myself, I make my own gluten-free flour mix, which is for 1 kilo of flour, I have 500 grams of rice flour, which is an structured flour. And then I have 350 grams of potato starch, 140 grams of sweet starch, which is the starch made from cassava, and 10 grams for every kilo, 10 grams of xanthan gum. Two things about xanthan gum. First, I would recommend you to have a proper micro scale. It's very cheap, you can buy online. Because xanthan gum, 1 gram of xanthan gum is very powerful. You see, for 1 kilo, I use only 10 grams because it's very powerful, which means if you use a spoon to measure your xanthan gum, you are very likely to use too much. And with the micro scale, you're going to be safer. And I consider this very important. One more thing to say about xanthan gum or any other stabilizer like guar gum or psyllium or anything. You don't have to use a stabilizer every time you use gluten-free flours. Sometimes you just use one flour, or you can do flourless cakes, which are like almond ground almonds or something like that. It depends how you take the decision if you need to use or not. So just to be a guide for you. It depends on the amount of fibers of the other ingredients of the flours you're using. Is more or less like that. I'm going to put you here my gluten-free flour mix, and remember, if you can't find sweet starch, you always find online, sometimes not very cheap, you can starch you can replace with another starch. You could use, for example, corn flour, and if it's necessary, just adjust a little bit the amount of water, amount of liquids, not water but liquids from your recipe, or not even. But this is the gluten-free flour mix that I use in most of my recipes. I hope you are liking this content, and bear with me for more. Thank you for watching.